Friday evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. This is Spirit of 420 because everything I do is so 420. Coming to you live as normal. Um, and let's say, one thing that's cool is we only have 2 days, just 2 days left before 2024. Technically, not even that really because we're almost done with this. It's more like, no, I guess it is 2 days. So a little over 2 days, excuse me, a little over 2 days, technically speaking. Either way, I am looking forward to saying goodbye to last year and moving on. That said, I was not going to do a very long show tonight. I've got things that I must do, things that have to get done. If it matters, I have been taking, what's the word, this week, like once Christmas weekend came in, you know, we're off. Like we've taken, we have an at-home business, but we have stayed. What's up, buddy? How you doing, sweetie? I appreciate you coming in. Oops, didn't mean to show that. Boom shakalaka. There you go. Always, always. Anywho, um, what to discuss tonight? I had something in mind and then it kind of flickered away. Maybe if I start smoking this joint, it'll come back to me. So let's just focus on one thing at a time. Focus on getting this cannabis lit up, right? And then maybe that will change. I will say one thing. I've been dealing with, I stand all the time. And I think I've told a few people this. I don't think I've said it on the channels. I don't know if I've said it on the show. But I have been dealing with my feet swelling. And I believe it to be, in the simplest of terms, just standing in the same place for too long, right? And what's funny is when I looked up things, of course, the people that go through some of what I'm going through the most in profession is nurses. That made total sense to me. So I know one thing. I don't believe, like, because swollen feet can mean some other things. It can be diabetes. It can be heart. I don't believe it to be any of those things. What else did you say here? Yep. It's, it's depression and not moving. So, long story short, I got some compression socks. I ordered some that are at a higher, so I don't know what the initials are, but it's like MMHP, I think, or something like that. And for what I saw was 40 to 50, which is basically the amount of pressure, right? The amount of compression. So they have all the way down to 8 to 15, 15 to 20, 20 to 30, and so on and so forth. 30 to 40, 40 to 50 is what I was looking at based on swelling, but I had to order those from the Zon as usual, and that particular one is taking days to get here. Plus, I started to think, if that's the strongest one, do I really want to go with the absolute strongest compression available? And one that I've read, funny enough, good things about, and was interested in it. I went ahead and got tonight. I went out and got it because I didn't want to, I don't want to wait a week just to get something. I can always get it at Walmart and then return it if I don't like it. So I went and got some Copper Fit. Is that the name of it? I'm sure y'all have heard of it. It's as seen on TV. But it actually is good. So it's compression lined with strands of copper that's supposed to help. I can tell you this, from the moment that I put them on tonight, my feet felt better, like instantly. Like, not just because it's all snug, but it just instantly felt better, which I thought was nice and refreshing considering it's something I bought from Walmart, right? So, point blank, I have those on. Those are already feeling better, and I'm eager to see how it works. Because right now I've been sleeping on the couch with my legs elevated, and I know my wife is missing me. So, but it helps because if I sleep like that through the night, then they're pretty much not swollen by the morning. That's another thing too. Like if they go away, it's not, if you can have them go away by just elevating them, then it's typically nothing that is very serious. You just need to change some habits to get a little more. And I'm not somebody who doesn't admit it. I'm transparent. Doesn't mean that I'm out here dwelling in it, but I've been depressed, so I haven't been moving around, and I just need to move around, and I'm doing that more now. I actually looking forward to it. It's not just a New Year's resolution, but the first, nobody wants to talk business, so I'm not going to do anything. But starting January 2nd, it's off and running, and I have some new ideas with some new things that I want to do. For your wrist? Yeah, I saw. Do you use the same one, CopperFit? Because I saw their wrist one. Funny enough, Joe. And it made me think of my wife because she deals with carpal tunnel, which causes her great pain at night. And I was thinking about maybe getting the small one of that for the wrist and see if that doesn't do better than the, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, then I can return it, like I said. Yep. It is. That I will say that CopperFit has gotten nothing but good reviews. The people that use it love it and live by it. So, it's worth giving their shit a try when it comes to whatever the case. My biggest complaint, and maybe they just didn't want to do it, I don't know, but my biggest complaint is that they do not have a rating in regard to the compression. I wish that CopperFit would be like, hey, this is what the compression is like, because other compression socks, you can go and see that, that's what it is. So that's my only complaint, is I would like to know, but it is clearly. So I got some, what is it? Dr. Scholl's compression socks, which was a fucking joke. It even said mild compression, but it's 8 to 15 is the rating. And I told you they go up to 40 to 50, right? So 8 to 15, I'm like, what the and I got them because it was all I could get, this in the CopperFit. In the moment that I took them out of the box, it was clear that the CopperFit, like, it's got to be somewhere between that. I'm guessing that 30 to 40 range, maybe 20 to 30, but this is easily 2 or more times tighter than the other ones. Felt almost like regular socks, people. Literally, not just the compression of it, but it was just, it was the same sock material that any sock is made out of. Whereas the CopperFit is clearly a different type of material altogether. What is that? Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, if she doesn't go to bed, or I should say this, if she goes to bed without her wrist, I don't know if any of y'all have this, but that's where the carpal tunnel kicks in. And so she ends up it'll wake her up. If she doesn't go to bed with the wrist thing on, then she wakes up in the middle of the night in great pain. What are you gonna do? For any of those who are bored, let me just say, this is part of life when we get to be, and you have to learn how to deal with it, and I don't talk about, I should say, I only turn things into a positive, and I hate to use the word spin because that's a positive side. Look at the positive side of it. There's always a positive side, right? One thing, if, in just dealing with this, getting old, yes, some of the physical attributes of getting old sucks ass. I'm not going to deny that. You have to look at it if you want to look at things realistically, right? On the same token, the older you get, the wiser you get, the more experience, the less you get freaked out. I'm telling you, there's a calmness that comes with getting older and getting into your, moving beyond. You have a midlife crisis, and then once you have the crisis and it's over, then you can move on to, just living life and enjoying it. There's a reason it all works out the way it does. There's a reason that we've worked out this, work and pay your home for 30, so then you can retire for the rest of your life, 20 to 30 more years. Me personally, I can't imagine not doing any work. And I'm trying to set myself up with this company that we've started so that not only do I do that for the rest of my life, but it ends up becoming something that my kids can carry on, not just to make them money, but carry on the name of it and what we're bringing to the table, because we are trying to be different, trying to be unique in a world where that's incredibly difficult. I used to do, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I used to do a segment called Flick Dick, right? Oh, I missed one here. Was it? Hey man, no worries, brother. Have a good evening. Enjoy it. I'm always there. We don't have to always be there to know that each other is there. You know what I mean? So don't sweat it, my brother. Oh shit. Damaruski. I'm trying to come back to it. If anybody can remember, it would be awesome if you could remind me, because I really want, that was going to be a good point, and it just like a mustard burp in the wind, as they say. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, well, just have to move on. That is the way it is. Part of the beautifulness, if you will, the beautiful, or part of the beauty of getting high is that short-term memory. And I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. So when I forget something, or I don't remember it, whatever you want to call it, I come back to the reality that it just wasn't time to discuss it. That's all there is to it. It'll end up getting discussed. It all does. On that note, I will be on tomorrow. Hey, what's up, Reese? Good to see you, brother. We're almost after the new year. Very soon we're going to be able to hook up and have a actual cup of Joe and share a joint and get to meet one another, because Reese is right here in the beautiful state of Colorado as well. So, 2 days I will be on. So I'm going to do a midnight thing. Very simply put, I'm going to go live. No, excuse me. I'm trying to get it out as quick as I can. There we go. Anywho, I will be going live tomorrow night, just before the twilight hour, so that I am live both on the 31st, New Year's Eve, as well as New Year's. I guess I don't really want to do necessarily the typical countdown. I think I'm just going to go live and know that at some point the clock is going to turn from 2023 to 2024, and I will try to notate that at the time, but I'm not going to do the 10, 9, 8. I don't need to do that anymore. That was fun when I was younger. Now it's just, hey, when it's there, it's there. And I probably have things that are more important to discuss than the countdown of a clock. We all know how it works. So, which another thing, when I'm doing it, just to add to it, most people, right? Because I say most, when I say most, I truly mean most. The vast majority of people in the United States live on the East Coast. The East Coast celebrates, what's it called? The New Year, a whole 2 hours early. So by the time I even say it's New Year's, they're 2:00 in the morning for them. They're like, we've already gone to bed. We've done the countdown. We smoked a joint. We drank some wine, and we went to sleep. Well, you know what you did in between the joint and the sleep. They did. There's always New Year's sex. I mean, you have to have that, right? So I will be bringing in the new year. I figure it would be cool to do that this year, because they always say whatever you're doing when you bring in the new year is what you're going to do all year long. So I have some other plans and a lot of cool ideas. And let's just say, if I'm streaming when the new year comes in, that that seems pretty cool thing to be doing the rest of the year, considering I know that I've done it now for almost 2 full years. So I'll probably still be doing it for the next full year. Not to mention the company is going to have some streaming and stuff that we're going to be doing as well. But that's in the future. Don't even ask me about that now. I didn't think you'd let me forget, brother. I didn't think you'd let me forget. I hadn't even read it. Sorry about that. This is one of those, and I know most of y'all know what I'm talking about, but now that I'm at this point, the resin that this is giving is awfully obnoxious. That the resin that is burning now with it, right? You can see it. Is truly sharp on the lungs. Let's just say that. It's sharp on the lungs, folks. By the way, if you don't know what I'm using, this is an inhaler. It's by Knock Off the Cough. I highly suggest that you folks go check them out because it does knock your cough off and a whole hell of a lot more. One of the things that, just on a side note, and I have noticed this for myself, but the longer you use it, the better your sleep gets. So off to the next subject. The new year, New Year's resolutions, even, let's talk about those for a minute. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I will save that conversation for during the New Year's broadcast, the New Year's Eve / New Year's broadcast. I'll save that and we'll talk about that because I do want to discuss resolutions. And all I'll say is I do believe in them, but I think you have to do them a certain way to actually have them matter. Otherwise, it's just words, like discussed so many times in the past. If you're just saying it and you're not following through with it, then they are literally lies, right? You say you're going to do one thing and you do another. That's a lie. Anybody can try to skate out of that if they want, but it's simply the truth. It's a lie. And, I think the real trick, and I know I'm on here talking, but part of this speaking is action in and of itself. Talked about that the other night. But, I think the best way to communicate in this day and age, because nobody really, I shouldn't say nobody, I'm sure a lot of you do. I apologize for saying nobody. Many people have a hard time doing more than just talking. So to me, what really works and impresses people in this day and age is when you let your actions literally do the talking for you, right? What I do is going to speak more and higher. It's like, you know what? There you go. An action is worth 1,000 words. I like that. I need to write that down. I'm going to text that to myself. Uh-oh. I'm getting a text from the lovely wife. Flick tick. That's what it was. Flick tick. All right, I'll come back to that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, babe. Now, what was I looking at? I was going on here. Oh, such a stoner. Such a stoner. I should have done what I was going to do first instead of looking at anything else. Well, you know what? Let's talk about Flick Dick. If you remember what the hell I was saying, then send me that text too here in a minute, babe. Why have I stopped? That actually is a good point because I want it to be known. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a positive, but it has to be a positive for me. That's what I do is, turn what is normally seen as negative into positive, and also what people call your shortcomings and, what do you call faults, deferred defects, I like to look at those as gifts, right? In concerns to FlickDick, I huge movie buff, right? Huge movie buff. I have been a movie bufferino for I can't remember a time when I didn't get into movies, right? And when I say get into movies, like get into who wrote it, who directed, who produced it, who was acting in it, right? Before IMDb, I had a book that I got every year called the Golden Movie Retriever. And it was an index that just got a little bit bigger each year because it was every movie ever recorded and cataloged, excuse me. It was a catalog of everything. Plus, one of the best parts about it, just on a side note, and one you can imagine why I loved IMDb when it showed up, but it was great for cross-referencing. So, the main book was, and what I mean by that is the biggest section was simply the movies themselves in alphabetical order with their rating, all their information. It was all there. Like everything is there. And when I say cross reference, they would do indexes that allowed you to look up by director or look up by writer, right? And that's when it really started to hit with me, where I was really into it and became a buff, because I didn't want to know just what, like I didn't want to find a movie. In fact, what I would do is fall in love with a movie and then go and find that writer or that director and find other films. And it was more important to me to find the same writers than the same actors, because the actors will do an onslaught, right? But writers tend to write a particular way. Directors tend to direct a particular way. Most people know this. They put Easter eggs. There's little traits. Some of them, they don't even necessarily think of them as traits. That's just the way that they do. Like, if I'm watching a Spielberg film, I know it. Most of the time, I know when I'm watching a Ridley Scott film, particularly his brother, actually. Definitely know when I was watching a Tony Scott. I say that because for those of you who don't know, he's passed. So why did I stop doing FlickDick? After all this love of movies, right? It's really quite simple. And y'all have heard this before. I guarantee people have heard this before, but I don't think you understand how it translates when you're somebody who loves the industry and, has a dream of one day directing. There's nothing new. It's the same old in everything. It's not just that it's the same old, folks. It's that if something works now, and I mean this started when I was a kid, right? Because when I was a child, when a sequel came out, it was pretty definitive that the sequel was going to suck. I'm just telling you, man. Like most sequels sucked ass. In fact, the tide turned with. I consider this to be the turning tide. There was two. George Lucas is one, but, and I used to say this, the reason his worked is that he wrote them all at the same time. They were not a sequel in the sense of what we think a sequel and what sequels have become, and they are no longer, which is why now they're better. But now it's the same formula. You write a franchise. I'll come back to that. All right, like that's how you do it, and it's always the same fucking cookie cutter shit. But back in the day, sequels they sucked because of one big reason. They were trying to recreate the magic of the first one when many times it was not meant to be a franchise. It was not meant to have sequels, right? It was meant to just be a standalone good movie, period. Hollywood doesn't want that anymore. You can't milk a standalone good movie. You can't franchise a standalone good movie. You can't merchandise a standalone good movie, right? So with that, bearing that in mind, what's turned me off from the movie industry is that there's not only nothing new, but everything now needs to be milked. It has to be a franchise. It has to be, what's the word? the same. I mean, and there's there's some movies that I truly enjoyed, but even when watching them, I had a hard time finishing. I'll give you, for instance, and when I say it's the same, when you can start to guess almost every single thing that's going to happen in a film after the intro of the film, right? It's not very inventive, is it? It's not really something that goes, "Hey, this is different," and that's what I mean. What was the one I was just thinking of? No, there's a franchise right now that is just so well. Fast and the Furious. That's one that I'm over. Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy. Like I enjoyed 3, and even at the time, I was still doing Flick Dick when it came out, and I said it was good, but it also was nothing surprising. I knew almost everything that was going to happen in that film. Fast and the Furious is, we're in the day and age now where they want a franchise, and the actual movies in the further down the line do become better. But folks, I have been watching. I know some of y'all are younger, and I get that you probably haven't watched nearly as many movies as I have. I mean, I kid you not when I say I've watched over 20,000 movies, maybe even over 30,000. And on top of that, there's a lot of movies that I watched 100 times over. When you watch it like that, it's more of a study, right? And maybe that's maybe that is some of where my bored attitude is now. I don't really think so, because if I watch a movie over and over, that means I really like it. For instance, for instance, I grew up in the time of Star Wars. Went to see Star Wars 4, 5, and 6 in the theaters. Right, loved them. Even at the time, as soon as Return of the Jedi got onto video cassette, I rented it on the weekend, and I must have watched it 7 times over that weekend. And I loved doing it. I couldn't get enough of it, right? Now I read a synopsis. This new one, I haven't even bothered. And I don't know that I will. I may end up watching it just to appease the part of me that goes, "Are you correct?" Right? But this new movie by Zack Snyder, Rebel Moon, it's another Star Wars. It's another attempt. It's just another fucking, like, it's always this lone person, this one, but it's the same old fucking shtick, man. One of the most disappointing things in the last couple of years was John Wick 4. It was too much. It was not believable. And anybody who watched it and says it is believable did not watch the same fucking movie that I watched. Now, I told you, part of this is to turn it around and find the positive. The positive is no different than the positive of anything else in my life that has been very similar to this. When I see something and it's the same way everybody does, my goal is always, how can I be different? I love to be that red umbrella amongst a sea of black umbrellas. So to me, right now is prime time, right? And it doesn't have to be like in the next few days or anything, but right now in the next few years is prime time for me to actually find a way. And I will say this too: when I've put my head to it, I have achieved any goal or dream that I started working on. That wasn't just a shelf dream, but was an active dream. So if I actively if I make one of my active dreams to direct a film, I will get it done. And now's the time to do it, because nobody would do what I'm doing. Why? Because I'm going to fucking make sure that what I do has never been done. It's just the simple, in sales, I have a nickname. Yes, I know I'm a salesman talking about writing and directing a film, but that's okay. Sales is just what you do during the day to get bills paid, right? doing a film is a dream, and I'm sure some of you are like, how can you make sure that yours will be different? I don't know right now, and I'm not here to answer that. What I can tell you is my sales technique has consistently been different, and I do not do a formula, right? I'm not going to give anything away because I don't want anybody to know how I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I already have some ideas on it, but the one thing that I can guarantee you is it's going to feel gritty, it's going to feel authentic, and it's not going to be something that anybody has ever done before. There's still ways to do it fresh. That's what she said. There's still ways to accomplish the same thing. But what happens with Hollywood, folks, and I say Hollywood, but anybody who's trying to get their movie produced has to deal with a Hollywood producer and a promoter. And they only want to put money behind something that they feel like they can plug into the system and make themselves a 3x, 4x, 5x profit, you know? So that if they sink 5 million in it, they might have a chance at making 75, you know, big money. And what I mean by that is big returns on investment. Money is what has changed it all. So again, how do I turn that into a negative? Well, I can promise you this. The people that work on my film and the people that work on it when it's time, and that's not right now. I have other things, but once I do this, and I will. But the people that work on it will not be doing it for the money. They will be doing it for the fucking experience. The money will come to you later if that is not your driving force. And if it is, I promise you, you're misguided. I'm not saying that money can't be your driving force and you not make money. That's absolutely the exact opposite. But that's all you'll have. I've been there. You'll just have money. You'll have very little real in your life, because what happens once you have money, the people in your life are not the same. They don't treat you the same. They want some of your money. And I don't care who it is, everybody deals with it. Once you have a certain amount of money and it is known to people, I promise you, it's like coming out of the woodwork with, you know, hey, can I do this? Would you back me on this? Would you buy this for me? You know, can I borrow this? That's, you know, that's always the classic. Hey, can I borrow this? Yeah, I know. If I do it, I used to make a deal with myself, and it's funny because I saw this in a movie that explained it better, Bronx Tales. Like the way that they put it is, whatever that person owes you, you just spent that much to never see them again. But when I first started this, I didn't look at it in quite those terms. I just knew that if I lent you money, there was a 90% chance I would never hear from you again, right? That's just how it is, folks. I can't, let me rephrase that. How to put a spin, what is the positive aspect of how evil money is? Think about that one, right? Just think about that one for a couple days, and I will be back on the 31st. I love all of y'all. I've already been on here for 35 minutes, so I'm gonna. Oh, I missed some stuff. What's up, Reese? I missed this. Hold on. No, I don't have my glasses. They lost me after the barrage of superhero movies. Yeah, and when. Yep. Yep. I totally agree with that. What's up, Donna? Hey, sweetie. I don't know how long you've been here, but I'm about to. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Oh yes, you can absolutely get high on the film. Hey, and we can talk. You've got my number, and you have the fresh one, so just text me, sweetie. What I will tell you, folks, is what has happened to the industry is so. I don't mean to be a pessimistic, but it's really, really hard now to weed through the good stuff. And even when, like, I used to be able to, just on a side note, I was about to end it, but I'll say this. I used to be able to use a few different key places like Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb. There's another one called the Movie Database, which is Internet Movie Database is IMDb. The Movie Database is just another one run very similarly. But I could go to those three, look up a movie, and get a good idea of truly if the movie was decent. You can't even depend on that now. John Wick 4, horrible fucking movie, has some of the best ratings of the Wick series. And I'm like, dude, don't get me wrong. I love Keanu Reeves. I absolutely love him. But he made an unbelievable, and in my opinion, piece of shit that is just the same as the other three. And it's now even more unbelievable. And they're doing another one that's going to be even more unbelievable than this one. It's just fantasy. Like, I didn't want to see Game of Wick, right? Or John of Thrones, whatever you want to call it. It's what was beautiful about John Wick is there was an air of realism about it. If you were a killer, how would you act if somebody killed your dog, right? And the continuation of it in 2 and even 3 was reasonable because there's constantly from that backlash and consequences based on how many people he killed and the fact that they were a part of the Russian mafia. You're going to pay consequences. But they didn't do it this way. And I'll give you, for instance, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm truly praying that because I bought it when it came on sale on Apple TV, and I've been waiting to want to see this because I really enjoyed the first two, and I thought that they did not necessarily entirely follow specifically a formula. They did and they didn't. And let me say it that way. There's times when it's okay if you follow a formula, as long as you do it maybe with a flair or with a bit of a twist or just something that stands out that goes, okay, you know. And what I will say just on a real quick note is Denzel Washington in Equalizer makes Equalizer just bad fucking ass. The first one I loved, like I loved the shit out of it as much as I love John Wick, the first one. The second Equalizer, I liked it, but it had a little bit, it was a little less than the first one because in many ways it was just, in many ways it was a repeat. But then if you know Equalizer, the whole concept is that he continues to help people. And they kept that part of it where, you know, anybody he can help, he helps. Right. So to end it coming full circle, I have Equalizer 3. I got it on sale. I'm waiting to watch it. Funny enough, its overall ratings, you know, when you look at all of them, is better than its predecessor. So I'm curious if they, and I really love Anton. Oh, what's his last name? It's not Fisher, is it? Is it? Well, that bothers me. And my hands are dry. I'm gonna have to put some. I'm gonna have to put some lotion on my hands. Oh, I missed something. Did you want to say something else? Go ahead if you want to, because I'm looking this up. Equalizer. I'm just trying to remember the. Oh no, God, how do you pronounce that? Fuqua. Faku. I don't know. Antonio Faku. Anyway, he's done the whole series. Again, one of the reasons I like this one, but this is also, I'll just finish it up. This is so, in many ways, exactly what I'm talking about, right? But at least if you're going to do it, if you're going to do it, you have to do it a certain way. And that is writing multiple films. The story, he didn't just develop the one story. He knew he was going to do a trilogy with Denzel Washington as the Equalizer. That was the plan from the beginning. So when you do that, you set it on an outline, and that's very different than writing one, kicking the shit out of it, and going, all right, how do I reproduce that? I mean, I'll just give you one bad example of a sequel from the 70s and 80s. There was a classic comedy. I love it. I still love it today. It had a lot of things for the first time, right? It was the concept was the first time. Caddyshack. That's an awesome movie. It was never meant to be any kind of a sequel or anything like that or any kind of a franchise, but they made so much. They made so much that they did it anyway, and it is one of the worst. Another one that falls in that same way, and they made a franchise out of it, was Meatballs. The first Meatballs was absolutely hysterical, was fresh. Meatballs 2, 3, 4, 5. To put it this way, it was either in 2 or 3 right away. They had a fucking alien. I was like, are you kidding, man? Just off the rails. It's what they do. I'll tell you something that's off the rails too is, so when I say Hollywood is fucked, they either make horrible sequels, look for franchises, or the worst is they remake things that don't need remaking. One of the ones that they're doing right now, and fuck you, Ryan Reynolds, for doing this. Clue. Why are they redoing that? That movie is perfect the way it was. It doesn't need to be redone. And the sad thing is there's going to be a lot of people that watching, oh, that's the fucking movie's great. I promise you, it's not going to be great. I know it. I'm doing good, just so you know, by the way. And I'm about to look at what you wrote too. Hey, yeah, there you go. It's got to be Special Ocean. I'm the only one in the family that's not sick. So everybody else is sick, although my wife is doing much better, and my third youngest son, is doing much better. So, and what I mean by much better is they at least don't have fever and they're able to move. My youngest son has been pretty much maintaining a fever, if we don't give him medicine, that is, of around that 100 to 101. So, yep. And he has no energy. Neither does my mother, who's in her 70s. That's the one that worries me the most, just because she has COPD, emphysema, I think. Either one. It's one of the COPDs. I can't remember which one right now, but she has that, and this is respiratory, whatever the sickness is. So, that is, holy shit. You love what? RR. What does R? I know that I should get it. RR. I don't know what it means. Oh, it puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again. All right. So anyway, it is time for me to clear the path and go ahead and get off here. I said I was going to get off 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago, I've been on for 34 minutes and said I was into this. But somebody always does something that takes me off on a tangent. I love all you folks. I will be back Christmas. I'll be back New Year's Eve to bring in the new year for the Mountain Time Zone. And I'm not going to do a countdown, like I said, but we are going to have some fun and bringing in that new year, right? I love all of you. I hope everybody has a wonderful, blessed weekend between now and Sunday. Even Sunday, I hope you have just a wonderful weekend. I hope you're spending it with family. I hope you're having the opportunity. Oh, Ryan Reynolds. Yep. That makes sense, RR. Remember this, each and every one of you are incredibly awesome people. You are special. The fact that you think at all, you're so special, and nobody else can think for you. That makes you unique. It doesn't matter how much money, it doesn't matter how much power. It simply matters that you are alive and you are contributing to this world as much as anybody else. Keep that in mind. It is the absolute truth. I'm losing my. Hold on, let me take another sip of this coffee. There we go. All right. So I love all of you. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you Sunday night. We'll bring in the new year. Peace. I'm out.
I switch here, I'm a strange fuck. Consist on ain't something I could say well. Throw my change into the wishing for a change well. Wish your day a swell life for the next come. And when the next come, pretend that it's the best one. Like I ain't even gonna try and say that to the next one.